Well, good morning, Mr. Sue. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I am just settling into my coffee, so that's always a good moment to catch me.
It is. Yeah, I've got mine here as well. So
There
we'll
we are.
we'll have, we'll have coffee together. So this is
Hmm.
Jason Sue. Jason, you're a world class coach and teacher. Um, uh, you are. I've worked with you for several years now, and you what you do has changed my life literally. And I've told you that before, so that's no surprise. I had this really fancy introduction I was going to do, but I forgot it. So just, but you were
This is way better. This is way better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
having the
play in the
feelings now.
kitchen, you cook at the poker table, you're a husband, you're a father, all that, right? And then you work not just with poker players, you work, which is how I met you, but you work with executives, athletes, and all kinds of high level people, right?
I do, yeah. It's mostly poker, but yeah, sometimes somebody will hear about me who doesn't play poker and feels like a good fit, and we go, and it's the same thing no matter what we do, no matter what we're talking
Yeah.
about. It's the same, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I found is I apply what you teach to poker, of course, and use it there. But I've actually used it more in my life than I have at the poker tables, to be quite honest with
Yeah,
you. And that's
yeah.
which I find interesting. And
Happy
for
to hear
people
that. Yeah, the poker players still haven't figured out yet that I've been tricking them this whole time into just learning how to have a really good and awesome human existence above all else, and then the poker
yeah,
becomes quite easy. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And for people that don't know, you were a high stakes cash game professional player for many years. You made your living doing that. You've cashed and won several big tournaments. I know. I mean, different all kinds of different stuff. So
Yeah.
you definitely have walked the walk, no question.
I've I've spent a lot of time in the chair under a lot of pressure and stress. I certainly have. And yeah, I did do all those things, and all the things we'll talk about today is how I made it through to feeling completely at peace and content with everything that I did and excited for whatever comes next. Yeah.
Awesome. And you got your second book out. It's framed there on the wall behind you. It's called The
Number
Joy of
two.
Poker. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've got a copy. I've read it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's an amazing
Mm.
book, and it's about a lot more than just poker for sure. But let's get into it if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of a setup here. The reason I'm interviewing people is because my second book has come out called Have the Life You Really Want instead of the one you're stuck in now, and that's kind of what it's all about. And so I'm interviewing people that I know that actually do have those kinds of lives. You're obviously one of those people, but I like to kind of start with a question which is this: is have you ever felt stuck in your life in any area of it?
I mean, if anybody says no to that, you should just
Right?
immediately like not trust them about anything they ever say.
Well, I would end the interview at that point. We'd be say thank you very much. Gotta go.
They're like, who am I talking to? Yeah.
Right.
So yes, I would say the entire decade of the 20s was quite unhappy. And actually on the outside, I had all the stuff that a lot of the people right now would say they would want. I was crushing it at poker. I was making a lot of money. I was working from home, playing online poker, crushing it, making several hundred bucks an hour, and had more money than I knew what to do with. But I was not happy at all. Couldn't get into a good relationship. And that was really what I wanted the most. I did not genuinely feel like I was worthy of love or deserving of love or any of that stuff. And yeah, just a lot of unresolved issues that nobody had ever taught me how to work through emotional stuff growing up. And so yeah, that decade was kind of me being like, hey, hold on a second here. Yeah, and before kind of towards the end of that decade, kind of finding my way to all these things that have helped me so much.
And then what happened? Because obviously you got out of that. You haven't been stuck for years. I mean, you are
Yeah.
living the life you really want to live. I know that. So
Yeah.
what happened after that?
It was actually a pretty quick change as soon as I made the decision, okay, the most important thing in my life is to learn how to be present with my feelings and learn how to accept how I feel instead of resisting how I feel and distracting myself from how I feel. This is the most important thing. Everything changed immediately because now it wasn't so big of a deal to feel upset or agitated or sad. I could I could have those experiences and still feel like myself, still feel okay. And so from there, all the behaviors that I was doing to distract myself and avoid those feelings, they just magically stopped. And from there, all of a sudden, the way I felt inside about myself changed. And magically, that's exactly when I met my wife. And that's
Mhm.
exactly when my relationship to poker changed to where I was no longer feeling like I was just some like grinder clocking in and out. I was back to feeling like how I felt at the beginning on day one, completely in love with the game, having fun with it. And that's the last 7 years of my poker career before I switched to what I do now. Completely just loving the game and playing my best and played the biggest games I ever played in and did well.
That's interesting. You said a couple of things that caught my attention. One is you said um, it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think people think it takes a long time to change. I think they think it's like turning a ocean liner in the ocean, and it takes a long time to happen, but it really
Yeah.
doesn't, does it?
Yeah, that's because they're doing the wrong shit, man. Because that's the general belief is that okay, if you want something it's got to be hard and you got to struggle for it and you got to suffer. But that's only because that's all they see everybody else doing.
Right.
And so if that's what they believe, that's what they're not going to consider anything else. And most people do this thing. I've been seeing it a lot lately. They'll say, "Okay, this is what I've been doing. It's not working." They agree on that. I've been trying to eat healthy and go to therapy. It's not working. Everything's still the same. I'm still stuck. And then they'll say, okay, I just need to eat even healthier and go to therapy more. And so they'll take the thing that's not working and they say, I just need to do more of it and be better at it. And they never consider that, like, hey, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, because
And
isn't that
once
like the
once you
def,
do
def
that, once you do that, it's like, oh, it could actually be easy and I could get things quickly.
because isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and
Yeah.
over and not working. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just that's it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and believing well, because there's this fundamental belief that like, oh, if I'm doing this thing and everybody else says this is what I need to be doing, right? And that's also a big problem. Everybody else says this is what we should be doing, and I'm doing it, but I'm not feeling any better. Then the problem is I'm flawed. There's something wrong with me. I'm messing this up somehow. It's not the program I'm being given. It's not the game I'm playing. They don't consider that. It's always just straight to I screwed up. I'm messing this up. I need to do it better. This is just more confirmation that I'm the worst. And then you just get stuck in cycles of that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, don't you think that? And you also said something that you were okay with feeling frustrated and feeling upset and those kind of things. How do you get there? Because most people that I know, myself included, have struggled with that one. Being okay with feeling those things.
Yeah, step one, understand that you can't control whether you feel any of those things. There's actually a lot of people who won't get on board with this step one, but until you get on board with step one, you will continue to struggle with all of these emotions for the rest of your life, because people will do everything that they can think of. They'll make lists and habits and routines, and if I just do these things, if I exercise enough and I sleep enough and I eat well enough, I will not get frustrated when things don't go my way. But I promise you, you will. It might just take a little bit more to get you upset, but you still have the breaking point where you start feeling things that you don't like. So it just delays it. And so if you have the belief that like, oh, my body is my temple, I do everything perfectly, and so this is how I stay on my game all the time. I promise you, the day will come where, when you're least expecting it, it's gonna hit you, boom, and you're not gonna know what to do with it, and you will melt down, and you will regret what you do moving forward, probably for the rest of your life, because you think you're invincible when you just have this like perfect routine, and this is just how I do
Mhm.
my thing. So step one, accept that you cannot control how you feel. You cannot.
Right.
Step two, you can only control whether or not you accept that you feel that way, recognize it. Once you recognize it, will you accept that that's what's happening, and can you be present with feeling it instead of doing everything possible to make it go away? And that's really it.
So And so basically what happened in your case was once you did step one and step two, is your life kind of fell into place, right? And things started happening that you wanted to
Yeah.
happen and that kind of thing. Am I saying that correctly or is that not right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much because that I thought I had 100 problems. I just had the one. Is I'm trying to control how I feel, and when I don't like how I feel, I do everything I can to make it go away. That was
Uh,
the cause of every single behavior that I was unhappy about in my life.
and that's what caused you to change.
Yeah, so then I changed those two things, and all of a sudden, I'm not doing all this stuff anymore that I've been like, oh, this is holding me back. I wish I could stop this. I wish I would stop doing that. I wish I would be more proactive with this. And it's like all of that
Right.
just gone.
Wow. That's cool. And so you played from that place then. You had that epiphany or had that revelation, that transformation, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not choosing the right words, I know. But saying, that thing happened. And then you played professionally for 7 more years, right? And then if I understand it right, and then you are doing what you're doing now. So how did you take yourself from the life you had before to the life that you have today, the life that you really want?
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't actually have like a plan of like this is how it's gonna go. I wrote my first book, Poker with Presence, a little over 5 years ago. I was still, full on playing professionally
Okay.
all the time. I was also coaching and backing a group of 4 to 5 guys who lived in my area, and a lot of our discussions would go to this topic of why am I not executing when I know the strategy and so I always liked writing. I said to myself, I just want to like write all this stuff down that I know, stuff that I've learned from people who taught me and that have worked really well for me. I have no idea if anybody's going to buy this. I'm going to force all my friends to buy it, absolutely, but that list is going to get exhausted real quickly. We might cap out
Right.
at 100 people. If I sell 100 copies, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it, and then I happen to know a few people in poker who have been around because if you spend your whole life in one industry, you kind of meet some people along the way. I was
Right.
like, hey, will you take a look? If it's any good, would you be willing to recommend it to people? And they said, yeah, this is actually really good. It's different. Nobody's really saying this stuff. They're saying the opposite. And so that's how it started. And so a book published, and then in the back of the book, there's this thing that just said, "Hey, if you're interested in getting coaching from me, come find me here." And then people started doing that, and pretty soon, a lot of people were doing that,
Cool.
and I started getting pretty proactive about sharing my thoughts on this topic on Twitter, and so then it just kind of grew from there. But that I wasn't ever like I want to make the transition from playing poker to being a full-time coach, and this is the exact way I'm gonna do it. I just kind of just kept doing what felt like fun that would probably move the needle in that direction.
Yeah, and I think there's probably and what I've found is too is that when I talk to people is that when they have this happen, basically oftentimes it goes where they didn't expect. It happened in my
Mhm.
case for sure. It happened in your
Mhm.
case, right? And what happens is I call it their life just opening up in front of them, and things just kind of occur that or opportunities or that you see that you didn't see before and never thought about that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I believe it comes from dreams. I believe people have dreams. I believe they have wants inside. We talk
Yeah.
about wanting a lot with you. So dreams, wanting, and then testing those wants, and then creating a vision. Did you ever create a formal vision for yourself?
Not not in this way that you're talking about. I always
Yeah,
knew that I liked helping people,
yeah,
and I knew that from my training of learning all of these skills, we all trained in a way where we were coaching each other, and I learned
yeah.
through that time. I was like, wow, I actually really like just being here with people and listening, and then just saying whatever and helping them however I can. So I was like, I know I like helping people, and I like doing it this way, and that's pretty much it. I'm like, I was like, I don't, I know I'll only do it if I feel awesome and I'm having a great time. And those are pretty much my parameters. Whatever else wants to happen after that, we'll find out. So for a long time, it
Right.
was I'm playing poker professionally and also making a pretty good amount of money coaching other people and backing them. But a lot of the conversations we're having were around, more personal. stuff. Cool.
Mhm.
So that was what I was doing for years before the book came out. And so it looked like that. And then but once the book came out, there was an opportunity for it to look a different way. So I don't really have this thing of like I want it to be like this.
Right.
It's more like I just like doing this thing. How can I do it? And we'll see if the money shows up.
It goes back to wanting, doesn't it?
Mm.
What you want to do.
Yeah. 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 It's like, I would love to be able to make a great living doing this. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then from there, lots of people would show me some stuff that really helped me along the way. So, for instance, a few years before all this started, one of my friends asked me, she said, "Hey, will you help me, share what you know about weight loss?" Because I had lost like 100 pounds once and never became an issue again.
Right.
Because, my thing when I was in my 20s, early 20s, and didn't know what to do with all the feelings, I just ate. So I gained like 100 pounds really fast. It only took me like 18 months because I really get into things, right? So I got really so I
Right.
got really into eating, right? And then at a certain point, I just started living another way, and then I lost it also in about the same amount of time. And then when I lost it, it never became an issue again. She said, "Okay, well, maybe maybe we could like build a program to sell this to people." And I was like, "Sure, I'll make some tapes, whatever." And she said, I've been doing this marketing training thing. I think I'm gonna sell it doing daily emails." And I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And she started writing daily emails and she was sending them to me and I'm reading them. I was like, this is pretty cool. And then, that business didn't take off. But years later, when book came out and I was like, I could do this coaching business. And it's like, oh, the daily emails thing. That would be fun. That
Right.
might be fun to do. I could do that. And then, as you know, that is like the staple. That is the backbone of my business. That is the reason I have anything is because of the daily email that goes out every day that people just love it. I love writing
Yeah.
it. People love reading it. I thought it would be like this fun little project. It's turned into this huge thing. I get messages all the time. I love your daily emails. So yeah, but and it's like, yeah, all just because I was listening and paying attention to stuff and it was like, hey, that might be fun to use. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. I subscribe too. I love the emails. I mean, I read them every day. They're amazing, And yeah, you don't miss a day. I don't think you've ever missed a day since I've known you.
I've missed a few days. I was actually just thinking about the days I've missed. Two of them I had COVID and I couldn't even lift a finger.
Oh,
I was like, I was next to the laptop. I was like, I want to, but it's just not happening.
right.
One day I forgot to press send, and then one day I just literally forgot. So in 5 years, that's the record. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool though. That's awesome. So the thing is you have this life that you want. You're creating this life you want. You do it every day. I mean, but it's not work for you. It's not work. I mean, it just happens, right?
No, I love it. I love all of it. I love the coaching. It turns out I love doing the marketing and the promotions too. It's just I just love all of it and so yeah, it's not a minute of work at all.
Yeah, it's like kind of like we've talked to, you talk about doing the one thing or the next thing, right? That you want to do to kind of give your dream and give your vision life, and then your life happens, and it's hard to quantify this with people, which is one of the reasons I like to do these interviews because I want people to hear how other people have done it, how they've created
Mm.
those lives, and the fact that just because if somebody sees somebody today who does have the life they really want, right,
Yeah.
and they're living that life, they just can't think that they've always had that because everybody that I know that has this life, like you, like me, was stuck, man. I mean, seriously stuck in most cases, and then
Absolutely.
they got tired of it and they wanted
Yeah.
to do something else,
Yeah, I
basically.
was actually talking with a friend yesterday, and I've talked to multiple people now over the years who they want to do what I do. Maybe not in the exact same way, but they want to
Right.
help people and get paid really well for it. And it's so funny. They always ask me for advice. I always tell them what I would do, and then they never do it. I was telling my wife this last night. I was like, it's so funny. Like they asked me how I did. I tell them exactly how it's done, how I did, and then they never do it. And the reason why is because the part to get the ball rolling is incredibly uncomfortable and so there's a lot of discomfort and emotion to feel, and old programmers are also, I can't do that. I can't ask for that. I can't ask this person for that favor. And it's ironic because quite often the people asking these questions, they want to be coaches for people to help other people work through their issues. And I always end up telling them, look, if you can't work through this on your own, you're not qualified to go help somebody else. If you can't work through this and take this specific action that's actually going to help you get more customers and clients, you don't deserve the business. And so that the speech still hasn't worked yet. Well, I'll let you know, I'll let you know if it does. But that's the difference, right? Everybody says they want to live the life that they want. Of those people, maybe 1% of the people are actually equipped with the tools and the capacity and are completely ready to feel all the discomfort and pain and frustration and suffering that comes from going from here to there. Because if it was like you could just say you want it, you could do it, everybody would have it. But there's a
Right,
reason why so few people have it, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen inside you that's going to make you want to stop.
right. And you said maybe 1% of the people actually have it, but that doesn't mean that anybody can't have it, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Anybody can.
anybody
Yes.
can have it, correct?
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, I
Literally,
mean,
literally anybody can. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah,
yeah, that's how I see it too. I mean,
yeah.
because which in my opinion, for me, leaves a lot of room for me, leaves a lot of room for you, because this is what people want, and I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
and it can happen quickly. It doesn't have to take 10 years.
Hmm.
I mean, it can
Yeah,
happen. Can I just share something with you?
yeah,
When I started this with myself, I did it because I did really want to have the life I want to have, and I've had a lot. You kind of know my story and my background and
yeah.
that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into all that today, but I wanted to have something different, right? And I just started going after it. And what happened is it just started to change, and it started changing pretty immediately. Now I created a vision board and I did some stuff like that, and just so I had a visual, because I'm more of a visual guy, and I wanted a visual representation that I could look at and program myself with. But man, when it started happening, and it goes places it's gone places that I have never seen coming and never thought I'd be doing. And I know this. I know that there is always more. No matter where you are, or what's happening, there's always more. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, and not just that, but you can always, no matter how good you feel, you can just
Yeah.
keep getting better and better. Your relationships can keep getting better and better. The way you feel, the way you perform can just keep getting better and better. There's really no limit to what's possible for everyone.
It's pretty amazing. I'm sitting here just considering what I want to ask next. Let me ask you this. What should I be asking that I'm not?
That's a good one. That's a great that's actually a great thing to ask people when they're meeting with you to possibly work with you. That's a
Right.
great question. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm down to talk about whatever, man. I come empty-handed here to these things. No agenda on my end. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because you reference that a lot when we're doing group coaching calls and different things, that you don't have an agenda set aside. I mean, I have three questions over here that I like to ask because I
Hmm.
like to kind of get the interview headed in the direction I want it to go in. But
Yeah.
then it's pretty much free form after that, and that's how you handle it when you work with people, isn't it? You don't have a whole bullet point thing set up or an outline or anything like
No.
that.
No, I always cringe when because some people, sometimes I like to see what the competition's doing, and then I'll see them making their
Right.
bullet point outlines. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh.
And, and it's like I don't want to fit anybody into any box here. If I have a plan for how this is gonna go, then that means I'm not gonna listen to you
Mhm.
because I already know what I want to say. So if I already know what to say, then I'm not listening. And if I'm not listening, what's the point? Right? We don't, and I'm useless if I'm not listening. The whole point of being able to help somebody is to actually understand what is happening. To be able to understand what's happening, you have to listen. In order to listen, you can't have a plan for what we're going to be doing today. So it's funny
Right.
because I'm about to run this group program, and a lot of the people are asking me, it's like, can you send me a detailed outline of the syllabus for what we're going to be covering each week. And I'm just like, no, there is not, there is not going to be one because if there
Uh,
was, you wouldn't like it
right,
as much. And because then I wouldn't be listening. It's basically impossible to listen when you already know what you want to do. Like you can test it out, you can try it out, see if you can still listen. I can't, and so yeah, best tool that I own is the ability to be comfortable showing up with nothing, and except for the total willingness to feel whatever I feel and the total willingness to say whatever comes out of my mouth without even knowing how the sentence is going to end, and then be ready to listen for what comes back, and then we go from there. That's how all the coaching happens. That's where all the best stuff happens. And anybody who's got a script for how they want the things to go has a very limited ceiling for how good it can get. You can still get some stuff done, but you're not going to
right.
get the like limitless feeling of like, wow, it's just better and better. Because in order to access that, you got to take the lid off
Yeah,
of what you think is supposed to happen.
yeah. And just kind of let whatever does happen
Yeah.
happen. It's kind of like when you're in a poker game,
Yeah.
you can't force it. You just gotta let it come to you,
Yeah.
and you deal with whatever happens because everything's
Yeah.
different
Yeah, you
all
got
the
to be
time.
ready to you got to be ready to feel whatever you feel after whatever
Yeah.
happens. And for the people who are not ready, that's when you start forcing it. And then when you start forcing it, well, you know what happens after that. Your
Yeah,
money goes bye-bye, right?
it
And
does
and
very quickly.
so yeah, it's the same principle for everything. And sadly, I think most of society is so addicted to having a plan of action and being
Yeah.
prepared for anything. And I know exactly what I'm gonna do next. I'm always gonna be like 3 steps ahead of them, and we pile tons of praise onto people who live this way and strive to live this way. And all it does is create an entire generation of people who are addicted to overthinking and analyzing and have no capacity to feel and be able to have any sort of intuition or gut instinct for what happens next.
Right. Can we talk about your book for a minute?
Let's do it.
The Joy of Poker, which I'm
Yeah,
holding
I
up
have one
here
too.
because I
I
bet
got
you
one
do.
here. I got one here.
You
Yeah.
got many. You got
Yeah.
many of them. So
Yeah.
I mean, this book is deep. I mean, it's a I love it. I mean, it's a short book. It's an easy read, but it's deep. The content in here is something. My wife always says to me, she's because I send out I call it my not quite daily email because I haven't graduated to doing dailies. But I do 4 or 5 a week usually.
Nice.
But yeah, I have been for over almost a year now, so it's
Awesome.
coming along. Um, but she always says to me, she says, "You're giving away so much stuff for free, and in my books, the same thing, and I say, well, the thing is, yes, there's people will get stuff out of the emails, they get stuff out of the books, just like you get stuff out of your emails and your books, but there's so much more to it, and there's so much more that people can do, and everybody is different, and so it's always an individual story. That's how I see it.
Hmm.
How do you see it with your book and your emails?
This book, this book, I just wanted to write something that would go down in poker history as, the best book ever written on the topic. And so I didn't hold anything back. At the time of publication, everything that I knew that was hugely valuable to my clients who have paid me lots and lots of money for it was in there. And yeah, you could argue that it's not like the greatest business move, but I just didn't care because, for one, the truth is, again, 95% of people who read a book, they're not going to devote themselves to prioritizing the principles inside of it as like, this is how I live now. Quite often, they won't do that until they've invested a larger sum of money into getting direct mentorship and surrounding themselves with people who will, kind of be with them as they go on their journey. So, as far as the impact of the book making everybody's problems go away so that I never get anything other than the $20 they spent on the book. I'm not particularly worried about that because I know how people are wired.
Right,
So
right, true.
there's that. And then also I just really, for the 5% of people who do get like, man, wow, this changed my life forever, and thank you so much. I really respect just the concept of a book in general. I think it's just like the
Yeah,
greatest thing ever invented by
yeah,
humans. And so for that 5% of people who do have the capacity to just read a book and implement, and it changes their life forever, and I never see them again, I'm here for you. And I wanted to write something for that group of people because I think they deserve it. And so
mm,
yeah, like I know like other people write books and they're not particularly good. I'm not gonna name names, but like,
right.
people I've looked at them, I've read them. They're not particularly good, and they use them more as means to just like entice people to like come do other stuff with them. And I was like, I don't want to do that with this one. This one, I just want this one to be like just a work of art,
Right.
and have this be like, if I never write another thing, I'm completely happy because I wrote this. And I really feel that way. As soon as the book went out, I was like, it's done. I did it. I'm like, we're good. And
Yeah.
after that, whoever wants to come hang out with me, I'm game. Business has definitely not slowed down since the book came out. So
Right.
apparently I didn't give away everything, because there's just a lot of things that people get in their own way on, and we forget. You could read the most amazing thing and it like blows your mind, but then 3 weeks later you're living again as if you had never read it. And so
Right.
people need reminders, and they want to be led, and so for that I am here.
That's awesome. And the book is not just for poker players, right?
No, I mean, it's about how this works in poker.
Right.
I wanted to hit all sides of it. I didn't want it to be this thing where it's not about poker at all, uh where like
Right.
poker is just like a parable. I didn't want it to be, I wanted like a serious poker player to be like, oh yes, this is exactly what happens, and this is exactly how I feel. He gets
Right.
it. But at the same time, I wanted somebody who's never played poker before to be able to sit down, read it, and have no issues of like, what is that? What is he talking about? I wanted people who had never read it to be able to have that experience too. So I spent a lot of time smoothing out parts to make sure that both things could be true. And I think I'm really proud of how it came out in that way.
That's very cool. Both things can be true. Two things can be true at the same
Yeah,
time, can't they?
yeah,
That's one of
absolutely. I'd
that's one of your
say
mantras, I know.
that is the world would be a better place if everybody lived that way. Yeah, absolutely, the parts in the book around how you motivate yourself and how do you build confidence, and what are the ways that you get in your own way of winning and being happy. Those are nothing to do with poker, everything to do with how you relate to things inside. And I hope many, many humans in the next few decades will stumble upon it and take something valuable for themselves.
Well, it's an awesome book. And chapter 10 is the one that catches my eye. Every time I look at the table of
Mm.
contents, I mean, they're all great chapters, don't get me wrong, but the one that always catches my eye is
Mhm.
chapter 10 called Master of Luck.
Yeah. I love chapter 10. It's my favorite also by far. When I finished writing it, I was like, oh baby, that's good. And yeah, actually like the best story, the best proof of that is I sent it out to put it out in one of my groups that I run, and in a Google Doc. I was like, check it out, read this week. And then somebody uh, thought it was really good and thought it would be a good idea to send it to a friend of theirs who is not in the group, which he didn't know. I wouldn't approve of that.
Right.
So it was fine. It was fine. But anyway, the funny part is my name wasn't on the doc, and 3 days later, somebody else sends me the document and is like, "Hey, you should read this. This is really good." Made me think of you, and I was like, "Yeah, because I wrote it." And yeah, so for a few days, it
Oh,
was just getting passed around the high stakes poker community. Everybody, sending it to the next person until it got back to me, and I was like, "Yeah, this is confirmation that I was right. This is a really good chapter."
well, that's cool, man. That's kind of the
Yeah,
ultimate compliment, right? When you
yeah,
compliment yourself anonymously, so to speak, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
very cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, anything else you want to say before we wrap it here?
I'm just all about how can you have as much fun as possible through all this. So I know that the inner work stuff, people have a tendency to make it really serious and hard work, and I just want to throw out the idea to whoever's watching that the more you can have fun with all of your feelings, the more you can have fun with all of your behaviors, the faster this all goes. The part where it slows down to a crawl is when you make it this big, serious, epic struggle. And so I'd recommend you all let it go.
Cool. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to work with you, if they want to buy your books? How does that all that work?
Yeah, books. Joy Poker is over on Amazon. You can get it there. And if you want to find me, join the email newsletter or, consider working with me, it's pokerwithpresence.com. And also, I've been making YouTube videos for almost a year now, so that's kind of like my main way that I just put out content between YouTube videos and the daily emails. Pretty busy.
Cool. Well, what's your YouTube channel? How do they find you there?
It's just Jason Sue or Poker with Presence. You can type in either. It's listed under both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your last name is spelled SU. Very simple.
SU. Yep.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, I want to thank you. I really appreciate the time today and the conversation. It's been awesome. It's been amazing. I know people are going to love it. Thank you very much.
For sure, man. Appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. We'll talk later.